I thought about something, and the main thing I thought about was how consistently I feel like I'm I feel like I'm messing something up or doing something wrong or going to break something. And it's a very consistent feeling as well. Like I'll pick up a glass cup, and I'm scared that I'm holding it too tight and that it's gonna break the cup, or that I'm going to even like doing these journals and this channel. I'm afraid that somehow I'm going to, in some vague fear, that I'm somehow going to destroy my future or ruin everything, or that I'm going to be someone's going to discover something about me, and everything's just going to fall apart. And then I actually think about it, and I'm like, what? Discover what exactly? What exactly are you talking about? What fear? What I wrote it down more concisely in some notes. And let me see. No, wow, did I really write that much? I didn't realize I wrote that much. Hold on. Looking for it. No, not that one either. Next page. I've always lived in my life in fear that I'm going to break something or ruin it. I constantly feel as though I'm going to get in trouble. People are going to find out something about me, even though there isn't anything. And now they'll dislike me or not want to interact with me or abandon me and things like that. I wrote that. I mean, that is really the feeling. A constant fear that that something I'm saying is wrong, that I looked for a few seconds more than I should have, that I can't even have a conversation, or somehow something's going to happen that's going to make everything fall apart, or yeah, like every little recording these is somehow going to ruin my future. Talking about things is going to ruin my future. Like, oh no, I've overshared and now everyone knows everything about me, and now I've completely destroyed my life. You know, that kind of thing. And like, still this feeling of constantly having to hide everything, because like, oh no, now everything's been mapped out and everything's gonna fall apart. And a part of me has become conditioned to that sort of over compartmentalization and segmentation, and this allure of being ambiguous. I'm sure other people might have that allure of being unknown in the background. Nobody knows anything about me. No one can look into my mind, psychoanalyze. You know, like one day I'll create a work and no one will know who the author is, and they'll be like, who is this mysterious person? You know, and they won't be able to look at the person. They'll only be able to look at the story, if that makes sense. You know, it's physically, like in reality, I've been trying to separate the art from the artist, if that makes sense. You know, that whole idea of separating the artist and the art, and that I don't know how else to put it, that I'm just gonna any action could just ruin me. I'm gonna break something, I'm gonna hold it too tight, I'm gonna hold it too loose, and it's gonna fall over and break. I'm gonna do too many rotations and strip the screw, or accidentally snap it off, or oh no, I put in too much effort and I ruined everything. It was, or I burned myself out, spent too much time, or oh, I did it too little, and I didn't put in as much as I should have, and now I'm lazy and weak, and yeah, just those kinds of living in fear. You know, I'm too lazy, I didn't do it enough, and now nobody's going to care. It's not appealing anymore. Or, I did it too much, and now it's not fun anymore, and I don't want to do it. Or, I spent too much time on it now. I spent too little time on it. Too much effort. Too little effort. Things like that. Just trying to create all manner of, just imagining all the possibilities of things that could go wrong, because that's how I've grown up and I've been raised, is trying to anticipate everything that could go wrong ahead of time before it could possibly happen, whether it's reasonable or not. And the thing is when you grow up with someone who when things go wrong is entirely unreasonable, whose reactions come from a completely unknown world, a completely distorted perspective, when things, it reinforces that you don't know what normal things being negative looks like. It just reinforces the idea of how overblown and exaggeratedly things can fall apart and break when you're dealing with someone who does go to those lengths and almost validates a certain paranoia and a certain feeling of like, I have to anticipate nearly anything and everything, even things that I realize other people probably wouldn't imagine that someone could do, or be harmful in a certain way, or break something, if that makes sense. And I remember when I first started I discussed it before, I really thought that even someone who I have blood ties to would somehow magically be able to understand everything I was saying to them, and hitting that immediate block of like, oh no, most people I know don't understand what I'm talking about. Most people I know and have seen, they misunderstand it, they mischaracterize it, they don't understand what it is, and even if you explain it to them, the frame of reference they have is too limited to really get it. They would really have to sit with you and want to hear you out and go through before they'd really be able to understand it. Sorry, I'm just a bit tired. I don't mean to yawn. Hi, Keith. Oh, I love you too. But, would you like to sit on my lap? I put the blanket here. Come on. Oh, come on. It's nice and warm. Oh. You never want to lay down when I'm inviting you to lay down. Come on. Sit down. Hilo is so finicky. He has a lot of trouble getting comfortable. So like he'll get to the spot where he's like, I'll be comfy here, and then he'll just kind of stand there and kind of like, I don't know, will I be? And you can see the little thought process in his cat mind as he's like trying to perfect the process of getting into comfy position. And usually when that happens, I'll just pick him up and lay him down, and suddenly he'll be like, oh, well, this is nice. And then he'll just cross his little arms and start purring. Just like, oh, it was that easy. I could have just become comfortable. Come on, you. I'll even shut the phone down. There you go. Hello, you. There you go. Now you're comfy. Now you're comfy, see? Mwah. Maybe I'm enabling that behavior. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe it's because I've done that ever since he was a little baby. That he hasn't learned how to quite get comfy yet. Maybe I should just let him, stand there and figure it out. And then the problem would... I'm going to test that. Instead of picking him up and putting him in comfy position, I'm going to see if he can figure out comfy position by himself. Mwah. Hello, you. Mwah. There you go. Yeah. I'm scrutinizing every little feature of you just to make sure you're still healthy. It's like, is there enough weight on you? How are your bones? Good amount of weight? Anything sticking out too much? Like, no, I don't feel your spine. But also in older pets, you might feel the spine. But, so like, check your behavior, your purring, your eating. You're climbing. Things seem normal. So, there, you landed and you didn't falter or wobble. Okay. Healthy cat. Anyway. Yeah. But, the fear is just very loud. Just a big spike of anxiety. Hi, Nuba. I love you. I love you. Wow. Off you go. Hey, let me finish this first. I love you. Off you go. Oh, back you go. But I felt this huge tinge of fear in regards to what I wanted to do today, which was share a story idea that I've had for a very long time, and I've been very scared of sharing it, and scared of having it in a place where I speak so personally, and then that story, and then imagining writing that story and being years down the line, and like people are like, I never imagined you were this kind of person, and we're going to scrutinize and judge you, and that kind of thing, and being less mysterious. I mean, it's probably part of the reason why I only have one friend in my entire life. One of the reasons. I'm not going to say it's the only reason, but it's probably one of the reasons. It's the only person I've found in my life that I've been able to trust and have a connection with, and he's not going to abandon me if I'm a little odd and things like that. Now, I figure everyone has certain things that are just like, maybe that's a little too... I'll keep that to myself. That's a little too personal. And, I still have those. Obviously, I don't share everything, but that's normal. Everyone has those things that they're just like, yeah, this is too personal. I keep this to myself. I don't go sharing every thought I have, or every interest, or every, like... I don't know what the word for it is. There are just some things that are, like, very private. You keep to yourself, that kind of thing. Oh, hello. You don't go announcing every music you listen to, every TV show, every book you read, every what's another piece of media? Like I don't know. Guess I'm just trying to justify having private thoughts. I don't need to justify that. People just have private thoughts. People have private lives. Even as much as I share here, there's still plenty that I keep perfectly private. Even with my friend, there are still lots of things that I keep to myself in private. And it's funny because it partly has to do with the story idea I had, which is probably why I had the story idea in the first place. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just gonna share it. I'm just going to share the idea that I had. The idea I had is for a story. A story. How did I describe it in my notes? Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm taking a while to find what I wrote. Let's go. Okay, I found it. I found it 15 seconds ago, but I just wanted to finish. Anyway. Alright. I wrote myself a little intro script so I can get into it. I've been developing a story idea I want to share. This is a project I've been working on. Here's the concept and why I'm excited about it. So, hold on. Pulling up my notes on it, just in case I forget anything. Alright. It is called Why Do We Have Eyes? With a little question mark. I like that title. I'm a fan of long titles. I really dislike the world of single titles. For me, I would only name something a single title if it was like in contrast to a bunch of other things that I've had that have, more than one word is the title. But I really don't like single word titles very much, unless it's a unique creative word, like Metroid. That's not just a word; it's a proper title. Or let me think. What are some other one word franchise things? Let's see. I'm thinking. I'm thinking Mario? No, that's not quite. And usually it's like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario 3D World. So that's not quite. And same with Zelda. It's The Legend of Zelda. So let's see, Metroid. Can't really think of anything else right now that huh. Hold on. I'm sorry to postpone. One word title franchises. I'm doing this now because I know I'm not gonna remember to do this later. Frasier? I guess Frasier? Animaniacs. There we go, that's a good one. I wanted at least one more before I moved on, just to make sure. Oh, Ratatouille. That's a good one. Let's see. Goodfellas? Compound word, I guess. Fargo? That's a good one. I can't. Supernatural. No, that it's a compound. No compound word technicalities. I won't accept it. Animaniacs. That's pretty good. Animaniacs. Let's see. With made up words. I said made-up words, not Smallville. Akira? That works. I mean, it's a common name, but I haven't seen that repeated. I don't know. Ron? Ron is a good one. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Ron. Code Lyoko is 2 words. That doesn't count. Let's see. Ben 10. No, that doesn't work either. Transformers? No. It's closer, but not quite. Transformers. Go Fret. That works too. I'm gonna write that down on the list of things I want to talk about in relation to this. When I wake up early in the morning and the sun is shining, there is just so much I'd like to do. That's when I think about the day, an extraordinary day, extraordinary every day right here. The sunshine makes me happy and the raindrops never stop, and there is so much to discover everywhere. That's when I think about the day, an extraordinary day, extraordinary every day right here. Gonna have a day, gonna have a good day, gonna have a great day. Gonna have a day, gonna have a good day, have a great day. Go Fred, whoa. Pekala. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. Some say the world is round, they do, that it's flattened down. But here's some news, if you look at it up close, at the end of your nose, it's a great big box where dreams come true. All the world is square, but the world is square, but the world is square, but all wants to be square. Down in Crescent Bay, there's stories told, pudding for Pekala, as good as gold. Even Chewy can't resist, Coco, Rudy, and the rest. It's like a candy store, where dreams unfold. All the world is square, but the world is square. Who wants to be square? Pekala! Alright. Shrek. There we go. Found it. Okay. Anyway. Anyway, the title of the idea is why do we have eyes? And the part of coming up with this idea is the I'm gonna wrote down a note. My love of kid shows, specifically realizing kid shows. My love of kid shows, how they're written by adults, and this is something funny I've imagined, which is like the idea of certain mediums as being like kiddish or childish, anime, cartoons, and things like that, until you realize who makes anime and cartoons and things like that. Like 30-year-old guys and girls and 30-year-old guys and 30-year-old men and women. 30-year-old men and women who are in like their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. They're the ones drawing these art styles, creating these art directions, coming up with these stories, these premises, these plots, as comfortable or uncomfortable as they may be. One thing that's consistently interesting to me is just how much further, like, Japanese children's media goes than Western. But I would say animation is a lot more infantilized. It's a lot more infantilized over in the United States than it is over in like other countries where it's taken much more seriously, and it's treated as a medium instead of a genre. Oh, what is it, Kilua? I just heard you make a little noise. What is it? I'm here. I'm always here, okay? I'm here. I've got you, okay? Oh. Look, I left you an open spot. It's right here. Whenever you're ready, my kitten. Yeah, this is it. I've enabled him to be too antsy. This is where I've got to go hands off. Not control him or get him to be, just let him be. Okay. But anyway, regardless, I love kids shows. I really do. And old kids show, mainly older ones. Primarily older ones, because what's happened, at least to my observation, is that as we've gone on, kid shows have gotten more into being written by I'd say the general thing is that adults write kid shows, and nowadays you have kids writing adult shows, quote unquote adult shows. But now more and more you have kids writing kid shows as well, which yeah. But going back to the general idea, there is the idea, and this is why when I talk about kid shows, I mainly talk about older ones like Rupert, Go for it, Babar. I'm going to talk a lot about Cubo, because I grew up on Cubo. I grew up extensively on Cubo. Jane and the Dragon. Hey now, hey, hey now. Jane and the Dragon are best friends now. And Cubo Night Owl. Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. I despise that show. One is the intro, and two, it was just so boring. Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. Dex Hamilton. Alfred Hedgehog. I remember even when they added on Jakers, and when they added on Artzuka. I mean, I was there before I was there when they were playing VeggieTales and 3-2-1 Penguins on Cubo, and they had Sitting Ducks. Oh, I was so sad when I learned they stopped airing Pekala. And when they started adding in like more cut Disney shows like the Fairy Tale Detective, Oh, and when they played Boo in the mornings, and Animal Exploration with Jared Miller. Oh, I never liked Miss BG because BG is so annoying. BG was always so annoying to me. I didn't like her. She was genuinely, for me, just like as a little kid, I never liked BG. That was something about me, is maybe parentification did it, or something like that. But or maybe it's just personal, maybe it's a mix of both. I didn't like BG. I never liked Max and Ruby. Even when I was little, Max annoyed me to no end. Because Ruby is just trying to do stuff, and Max is just being a little annoying kid and just ruining everything she wants to do. To me, Max, I never liked Max. Ruby was just trying to do stuff. And yes, there were times where she was pushing, and she was like, Max, that's not how you're supposed to do it. And then, there were times where I felt it was reasonable enough. But then there were other times where I was just like, most of the time, I was just like, Max, you're ruining everything. BG just wants to, hang out and do some stuff, And you're not working with her at all. Anyway. I grew up... I would catch... On the rare times I lived in someone's place where they had it, or the rare times where it was, afforded for, a monthly... you get 1 month and then it got shut off later. I would catch, little bits of Cartoon Network, or Disney XD, or Jetix. Jetix! Sorry, that was loud. Jetix! Oh, I never got to see Oban Star Racers. I never got to see that. I would I had VHS tapes. My mother would record. Basically, had a ripper, a thing that would record stuff off the TV. So would just stick in a VHS and just record 8 hours straight of Cartoon Network. and so it would have the Shadow the Hedgehog ads. It would have Chowder when it was a brand new show. It has those ads in it when Johnny Bravo was still playing, and Powerpuff Girls and Transformers Cybertron was coming out at the time. And it has all the ads. It has the iDog ads. It has, the Barbie cash register ads. The magnet tracks. It's a magnet track with, you stick the marble on it and it, rolls down. Or the Dream Sand. Oh, man. That was my version of Cartoon Network. It was that. I would rarely ever actually have the channels at all. Besides that, it was early YouTube and watching My Life as a Teenage Robot, Robot Boy, the Mega Man Star Force, and Net Warrior access animes, even finding the ones... Little me was smart enough to realize that English versions only went so far and there were Japanese versions. And so I would look for that, watching Kirby right back at you. Literally whatever I could get my hands on is what I would be watching. So it would be Jetix, and then it would be Disney XD. Well, not Disney XD at the time. Jetix pre-existed that. But it would be Jetix, it would be Cartoon Network for a little bit, catch Powerpuff Girls. It would be TMNT, it would be Nickelodeon for a little bit. It would be, and just, or the best I would get is going onto the old websites and catching clips of the stuff online with really slow buffering. Or YouTube, when people would just upload full YouTube, part 1, part 2, part 3 of a show to YouTube. And, or, going to the websites and just seeing clips and playing the Flash games. Yin Yang Yo. Yeah. Yin Yang Yo, Code Lyoko, Samurai Jack, Robot Boy, My Little Pony. I grew up with a lot of My Little Pony and Barbie, like the Barbie movies. My Little Pony. I grew up with everything. For me, even to this day, there is no, like, even when I was young and to this day, there is no, like, this is the show for boys, this is the show for girls. It was just whatever cartoon I could get my hands on and see. It would be My Little Pony, it would be Barbie, it would be Polly Pocket, it would be Strawberry Shortcake, it would be Rainbow Bright, it would be there was another one I had in mind, but I forgot what it it slipped my mind right as I was going through all of them. Oh yeah, the sushi pack, the sushi pack. Oh, I haven't thought of that show in a little bit. The sushi pack. Oh, I loved the sushi pack, girl. Oh. Anyway, yeah, I it was literally just whatever I could get my hands on. Just the assortment of shows. Whatever happened to be playing. The main one is that I would end up without cable for Lamb Chop's play along. If we're come to play along, we're here to have a good time with you. Just not having, like, proper stations and just being stuck watching Cubo. Realizing that there were no new shows coming until, like, something went out of date on other shows and they just gave up the licensing and then Cubo snatched it up. Cubo would snatch it up and put it on their channel. I'm trying to remember all the shows, but I don't have time to go through and remember everything that Cubo had. But I was there early Cubo, all the way to them adding in Taste Buds and Artzuka. And, oh, my heart. My heart is stirring. My heart is stirring. Just thinking about all this stuff. But also, you know, it all of it. Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel. Jetix. Catching clips and shows online. Realizing that a game I was interested in had a show. Just randomly finding it through 6 Degrees of Separation. Just all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to remember more, like, deeply rooted ones. But no, like, yeah, it was like a lot of Nelvana shows. It was a lot of Cubo, a lot of Canadian cartoons, a lot of whatever else I could catch. Yeah, Jetix, I already mentioned that. So I'm just thinking now. I'm just thinking through whatever I caught. Some of it appropriate, some of it not appropriate, some only appropriate in certain countries, certain cultures or demographics, and in other areas heavily censored or altered. Cartoons are not made equal across the world in terms of content, that is for sure. I'm not even sure, like, what channels did Winx Club even air on? Or Totally Spies? I remember watching 4Kids, but I don't know if that was on that. Totally Spies, Winx Club. There were other, like, anime-adjacent. Huntic. Was that Fox? But no, that was also CW. CW Kids. That's what it was. CW... Oh, I'm remembering that now, too. It was like a mix, because it would change constantly. Total Drama, 16. I remember watching 16 as well. 16, Total Drama. Oh, now I'm trying to like imagine every Magi Nation. Some of them it would just be like Redbox, like renting like the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and then seeing the included episodes for other shows or seeing the ads and then trying to catch it on. Oh man, I'm thinking about all that now. Every show I watched, there were so many, and like sometimes I would catch like a bootleg station or one that like my TV wasn't supposed to have. Just thinking about it. Also, watching like anime and stuff, mixing that in there, watching Kaiba. If you've ever seen Kaiba, that anime as well when I was really young. And just like every emotion and feeling and impression just kind of gets left with you as you go through and playing some games, whatever games I could get. Yeah. It all just like mixes together in all kinds of ways. Just everything, Codename Shadow the Soul Calibur 2. Man, yeah. It all just mixes together in weird ways. I've spent so long being emotionally numb that it feels weird to remember things and realize them and like them and realize how much I like certain aspects of them, because I never got that time to think about it or really process. It was just like me kind of distracting myself, but me realizing now how much those things affected me or how much I did like them or how much they yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that later. But it certainly built a lot of my taste and the way I process and think about stories and things and like depictions and stuff like that. It certainly did. I'm just thinking about now all the ones that I liked. And which is pretty much all the ones I've been talking about. But I'm just thinking about that now. And how it all came together. Anyway, I definitely did get completely sidetracked thinking about all that stuff. But I wanted to talk about the story idea I had called Why Do We Have Eyes? Oh yeah, hold on. One more thing. But the idea of kid shows being written by children that some people have, and I was thinking about that. It's like, no, if... I just remembered more. Growing up with early cartoon hangover and Shifty Look and early like web animation, super Mario Bros. Z and early web animation, Shifty Look, cartoon hangover. Oh man. But even then, I was on YouTube before Cartoon Hangover was even a thing. Like, that is also something that inspired me. But I remember YouTube even before then. Well, I wouldn't say inspired me, but right now it's I definitely feel something toward it. But even that isn't the earliest. I'd say that's like middle to late that I experienced that. My beginning with YouTube and stuff like that was even earlier before that. Way earlier before that. Yeah. But like I caught Cartoon Hangover when they just came into existence. When they just popped into existence, they were doing all kinds of pilots. I remember Card Wars. Yeah, that's more middle of the experience. That wasn't the beginning for me. But I do look back on that with some fondness as well. But it definitely wasn't the start. There was a lot more before that. I remember discovering Ruby Gloom as well. That is actually Ruby Gloom is very quality. Oh man. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking to myself, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm stalling on all these things. It's putting a lot of thoughts through my mind. A lot of thoughts. But, Anyway, why do we have... what I was saying. If... I was thinking if all kid shows were written by kids, like, every show would just be Axe Cop. Every show would be Axe Cop, basically. It would have that tone, it would have that feeling to it. It would have that, like, just kind of incoherentness. But no, like, kid shows are written by adults. At least the ones I'm talking about are written by adults. And I really do appreciate that. Because, like, I was watching Little Bear the other day. I was watching Little Bear. And just, like, the relationship between all the characters. Oh yeah, PBS. Of course I gotta throw in PBS as well. I almost forgot about PBS. But, yeah. There was a time as well where I'd watch lots of PBS stuff. But anyway, I was watching Little Bear, specifically the Little Bear movie, and realizing as Little Bear comes to confront the concept of mortality and death, and just this particular scene where he goes to sleep, and he goes to sleep in a cave with these two foxes and another bear, and he's in there with Duck, and he this is the cave that Cub, the other bear, and the two foxes have been sleeping in, and he sleeps down on their, like, pile, leaves, hay, grass. He lays down on it, and then he feels something on his back, and he pulls out a bone, and he just looks at it for a second, and then he looks over at Duck, who is sleeping on top of the two foxes, and Cub, who is sleeping nearby. And you can tell they give Little Bear this moment to just process and comprehend the idea of animals eating other animals, like sentient creatures, and being it's this moment where he's looking at the foxes. He doesn't know where the bone is from, what animal. He's just looking at it, and he realizes that, like, he experienced the mountain lion, the cougar, the puma, who was going to try and eat him or eat Duck, and he's processing those same feelings at Cub and the two foxes who he's met and have become his friends. And he's looking at the two foxes, and specifically it's framed with Duck sitting on top of them. And you can see that he's genuinely processing for a moment the idea that they could kill and eat Duck. And wondering if she's safe, and that they need the possibility of like keeping her safe, getting her out of there, or asking the question or confrontation. You can see this moment where Little Bear is processing all these thoughts, and he ultimately chooses to trust the two foxes and Poppy Pete, and he chooses to trust Cub. But the thing is he he wakes up, and the first thing he wakes up scared, and immediately cries out Duck's name to make sure that she's still alive, and that she's safe, and that she made it through the night. And she's okay. She makes it. Nothing bad happens. But just that moment, it feels like the perfect moment for a dream sequence when he goes to a sleep of him dreaming of something happening to Duck, and being his trust being betrayed, and things like that. But just him immediately waking up and looking for Duck to make sure that she's still alive. It's such a... I thought that was interesting, because I don't think I ever saw the Little Bear movie when I was younger, but just seeing that, I was like, wow, look at that, that's interesting. Okay. And, yeah, but that's basically what I wanted to talk about that. But yeah, the idea is called, Why Do We Have Eyes? And the basic idea of it, here, I wrote down a nice structure for me. This is something I've been, just a project and a title. Yeah, sharing pieces of it. Anyone, let's see, nothing, blah, blah, blah. Let me scroll up a little bit, just to see where I wrote it down. No, hold on, almost there. Alright, I may just have to do it live! If I can't find the notes that I wrote down for it. Which, I swear, it's a running gag that I'm just not prepared the moment I go to talk about it. Oh, here it is. The concept, the process, characters, creative journey. Okay. So, the concept is a cartoon-like world of animal characters. Which, I know, that's hardly original. There's lots of stories that feature animal characters. There's some that even, think about like Rupert, Little Bear even, Babar. Yeah, the mix of like animal characters and humans. I mean, it's a pretty common thing from the past to have the animal characters interacting with like mythological figures, humans, things like that. Wacky, creative. Oh, Pippi Longstocking. What shall we do today? What shall we do today? Okay, enough. No, don't get distracted. I was thinking more about Cubo shows that do that. But well, Pippi Longstocking doesn't. But I was thinking more about Cubo shows that do that, and that led to me thinking about Pippi Longstocking. But anyway, it's a world of anthropomorphic animal characters. And it would be slice of life. It is slice of life. It's a slice of life idea. And it centers around 3 primary characters. One is an otter. Her name is Melody. The other is a cat. Her name is Cat. And the other is a dog, and his name is Pancake. Now, the main crux of the story is kind of based around the 3 of them's interactions and how they get along, how their families or lack of intersect, or the dynamics of their situations, their interests, what they help each other with. So Melody is, important thing to mention, Melody is blind. She is a blind otter. Melody is, so just keep that in mind. Melody, if I would describe her character, she's very bubbly, chipper, happy, very curious about everything. She's very, very empathetic. She constantly goes out of her way to... Sorry, I just had a weird flashback. I had a weird flashback to one time Okay. Maybe I won't. No, I took the time to pause and interrupt with that, so I might as well. The thing about the other person that I've mentioned before is that they have no real interest in anything that I do or enjoy. They'll make up to say that, like, oh yeah, I heard that, it was really good, but but then a few weeks later say that they never even listened to it or heard it or things like that, or will actively just like turn away or stop listening or find any reason to just stop doing it or ignore it, or just like interrupt the conversation or shut down anything relating to personal interests and things like that. No actual, there's no connection, no actual interest to anything that is another person's interest, just completely ignoring it, or in worst cases, ridiculing, making fun of it, or just like pretending to be interested and then immediately just disappearing from, Anyway, I just remembered a thing where I tried to explain the beginnings of this concept to them one time, and they were just like, oh yeah, I suppose in a fictional world, characters can only do one thing. Unlike in real life where you should be able to do everything. Unlike in real life where you should be everything. But yeah, I guess you're right. In cartoons and fiction, characters are limited and only able to do one thing, and only be one part of the dynamic. Unlike in real life where you need to be able to do everything. And sorry, that just that popped into my mind while I was going through describing their personalities, and just that thought of well, yeah, but in real life when you're an adult, what real adults do, they have to be everything. They can't just be one thing. They can't be limited or have their dynamic. You have to be able to be all the people. You have to be able to be everyone in the dynamic. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, wow. Yeah. How kid-like and how childish that turned out to be later on. But I mainly remember it because the person then started ridiculing me and belittling me in a very passive-aggressive way for, writing the character dynamics and all that. And decided to make it about themselves for a second, and just like random sidetrack scenario. Anyway. Find a quick way to slip in a jab. Anyway. My apologies. I'm going to hone in now. That's how disorganized these journals are. It makes it so that I'm more focused afterwards. But, Melody, she's very chipper, bubbly. She's endlessly empathetic and supportive. And, she takes a keen involvement and interest in... It's funny coming off of that, just to say this. She takes a keen interest in other people's interests, not to make them her own, but out of excitement for the fact that someone else enjoys something. And she likes to engage with that and just like get involved in helping. And another part of her is that she's very she's very in tune with the fact that she is blind. But she's not insecure about it at all. She was like that from birth. So as a bit of context, but she's not insecure about her blindness at all. In fact, she'll even like point out, make jokes about it, have some fun, make some lightness. but she's very adept at navigating her environment. She's got enhanced animal senses, which makes it much easier for her to move around and sense and detect things. She's got like a modest family life. She what's the word? She's got like, that's how I describe it, sort of like salt of the earth values kind of thing. Very honest, very forthright, very forthcoming, very adaptable to different situations. She gets incredibly enthusiastic and at times competitive. That's a thing with the world of Why Do We Have Eyes, is that I try to find lots of ways to incorporate real life animal behavior or instinct. So she is that kind of like archetype of really liking food. Like she'll eat almost anything that you give her. She has her favorites, and sometimes she'll have ones that she likes or dislikes. But she's willing to try anything at least once. And another thing about her is that when she enters water, she's able to, if you've ever seen like Avatar: The Last Airbender with Toph and her ability to sense through earth whenever she's like touching the ground. It's sort of like that. When she's in the water, and this is another part, is that, well, I'll get to that in a second. But when she's in the water, she's able to sort of like attune herself to the environment and get like a sort of, in quotes, outline of the area around her. And it also happens when it's raining. She's able to tell where water is and isn't, and it gives her a sort of map of her surroundings that she's able to navigate. She's able to go around, in quotes, see, or I guess sense. She's able to move around a lot faster, a lot smoother, but she's very unself-conscious about like what she looks like, because she can't, really see her own movement. There's no mirror for her to see herself. So, but she also doesn't really care if she looks goofy while she's moving around, or kind of like flopping around, or making weird gestures or poses. She's not very concerned with that. But when she enters into water, it sort of boosts her otter instincts, and she she suddenly becomes like a lot more, what's the word, theatrical, dramatic. Not exactly sure how to put it. Well, first off, she gets more feisty. She gets a lot more competitive. That her sweetness is replaced with more of a spicy sweetness. And it causes her to become a lot more like aggressive and assertive, and a lot more, what's the word? She feels herself more in that moment, if that makes sense. She's imagining herself almost like a majestic mermaid of sorts. She can feel her instincts sort of lighting up, and it excites her. And she just feels really cool, if that makes sense. She feels in the zone and precise. And she gets like a little shift in her personality where she gets more competitive and feisty. Another thing that draws it out is that Melody does tennis. She's into sports, and she does tennis, and when she's doing tennis, that also just draws out her ottery instincts and makes her a little more like a little more animalistic. But another thing with Melody is that she really likes detective radio shows. You know, like the old Dick Tracy type shows, where you got your guys in the studio, and they're recording the radio shows. You know, I don't know how best to put it. I'm actually gonna have to go back and listen to a few of those. It's been a long time since I've heard them, but those old radio shows of like, he walked into a deep, dark corner not knowing was going to come. Stop right there, criminal! You'll never take me alive! I reached into my pocket for my gun, but it was far too late. He had already taken the shot. Would I be able to save her? You know, that kind of thing. She's very much into those detective drama radio shows, the old-timey ones, and she's got like a modest home life. It's like made of wood. It's a little makeshift. It lives around water.